Last series on the Alpha stream here for week 1 of the CCL. My name is McCormiel. With me is Proper. We've got a dogfight in front of us between SIU Esports and Mississippi State. Now, Proper, the thing is, right, because we always love a nice, good dogfight, but the thing that I want to see the most out of SIU is what they can bring to the table as they're a newfound school with the returning member and player from an old CCL roster.
Yeah, that's right, Buzz. If you ended up watching much of the CCL year just last year for SIUE, then you're going to be familiar with Buzz. Now fielding with a very different roster. What do they have to offer to the table for themselves? Because this roster is brand spanking new, how have they been filling their free time? With this new school coming in from the pillars of what was of previous past, making it 2 top 12 with SIUE, Buzz has a lot to be able to fill in this division as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look to the side of Mississippi State, sure, you have a returning member from their roster as well. They aren't a new team per se instead of the CCL, but we'll talk about that in just a second. But I mean, overall, you look at State, who returns to this team. Gamer Dude, the thing is he was here last year, but we never really saw him play throughout the entirety of the season. So technically, although you're still on the roster from old, although you still were with the school and associated with them, it's the first time we've been able to give a chance to see you on the main stage, but more importantly, with the new roster.
Yeah, State, being the returning captain, to your point, Gamer Dude didn't really see anything. Well, actually, didn't even play at all last year during the Cold War season, playing with Chalk 415 and Turn Up. Is this the roster that Captain State wants for Mississippi State University? Because we saw them play throughout the entirety of last season. They made it to the second split, really struggled versus other top teams. They got DFR'd in the CCL playoffs for 2021. They have a great statement to be able to make right in front of us here today.
A great statement to be able to make. When we look overall, player-wise for State, led all major categories for the side. Mississippi State white last season, so you'd at least assume that now being able to build a roster around State, you could potentially find an outcome with great success and not get DFR'd in this upcoming year. But again, that all really has to remain to be seen. Now we'll go ahead and take a look at the roster for the side of SIU. As Proper mentioned beforehand, Buzz comes back, but from a different school, from SIUE, which is the sister school to the side of SIU. But with that being said, joined by Mezzy, Mysterion, JT, as well as Wumbo. This is a roster that, again, isn't necessarily the greatest of all time comparatively to what we saw at SIUE last year. It's a technical downgrade, but to what extent is to be seen yet, and it's not going to be a downgrade so severe that it's going to knock them out of even playoff contention, because, look, when you have a leader like Buzz, who's the captain at SIUE, you're going to expect to at least make the playoffs, try to push to where they were last year in top 12. Are they going to make it back there? Who knows? And with how stacked it is this year instead of the CCL, probably not. But, again, that's at least where they're trying to get back to.
Yeah, this Midwest Division B can feel pretty darn stacked at the end of the day. And when you're going back and you're taking a look at this the Southern Illinois roster, the Salukis, able to at least find themselves an early map 5 victory, being able to win out their early matches for us here during CCL season 2022. Definitely going to be taking a keen focus on their search and destroy. That was their key to success last year. You'd have to assume that it would have to be able to be carried over, especially with Buzz coming in. What can they do to be able to lead this team to success? But if they could somehow continue on with that and come out of the gates absolutely swinging in this opening hard point, well, I'm not going to lie, these Bulldogs, they're going to have quite the feat in front of them.
Not only quite the feat, but we'll go ahead and take a look at our maps now. Starting off with the Tuscan hardpoint, Berlin for Search and Destroy, and then of course we'll go back to another hardpoint on Bocage. Now this map set, it would somewhat seem to favor the set of SIUE, because one of the things that SIU, because SIUE last year, they were very, very competent on maps that were quite fast-paced and very, very close together. The SMGs, when they were able to run rampant, it was awesome. The same could be said for Mississippi State white, at least for State. When State and the boys were able to go and find themselves on maps, say, not like Garrison or Moscow, but you go to, say, a Raid or an Apocalypse, that's where they thrived and were able to win the majority of their hardpoints from. Now, when you look at the set of SIU, though, when you're talking about SIUE last year, with Buzz having such an immaculate game of hardpoint, if you strike early here and then go to a Search and Destroy where you technically had your best average placings, you're looking good for the series. This could either be a 3-0 or it could go all the way down to a game 5.
It absolutely can, and I'm glad that you brought up that one specific point when it came down to certain maps like Raid for this team last year. They were always very fundamentally sound, were the Bulldogs for Mississippi State University, and going to be looking to do the same exact thing here. I mean, Tuscan, definitely a lot bigger than Raid, does not necessarily even play the same. The time to kill in Vanguard and the speed and the pace of the game, very different as well. Will be Mississippi starting off on the favorite side of the map over by this church, but as the 50-50 starts to unfold before our very eyes, it's Mississippi find themselves quite the favorable kill feed to get in early for some time.
Let's do the hands of Jocko. Turn up will find one early on. Went ahead and broke into the first point. Tuscan, a map that usually goes down, at least if it's close all the way through, to the third rotation. Maybe point 1, maybe point 2. That's where we really start to get some of the flashy, fantastic finishes inside of Vanguard. This map has been such a shining star throughout the entirety of the season thus far. One of the best maps for every single game mode. We get the same results and the same outcome here. Mississippi State, an early lead. It's only P1, but as we look to the rotation, you can see the red arrows already on the right side of the map. And player number 6, and Gamer Dude, looks to the staircase. We'll find the first one there. That's 2 in a row, and a couple more pushing from SIU.
Yeah, the Salukis are going to be trying to funnel all the way down from the communication alleyway, try to get themselves to the backside of column, but Buzz finding a team kill onto Wumbo with that fragmentation grenade. It's going to stall them ever so slightly, but Mezzi's in a great spot here. We'll now have some help from Mysterion on the backside of Church, cutting off the reinforcements for Mississippi, but not fully understanding that turn-up will be from behind. So a lot of this P2 side actually going up towards the game clock, and this is still very good for Mississippi given how P1 did go.
We'll see the pinch now come through. SIU will try their hand with 25 seconds left on the point. Now you got to start thinking about the rotations as well. Gamer Dude, Chalk. Both will find 3 there. It's going to allow them to at least push up the map, get the rest of the scrap time. Now as we look to the rotation, there's number 1 and 2 already set up. Wumbo, Mysterion pairing together. You look for the last one there from the side of Mississippi Esports. Proper, they're trying to get the south side spawns on the map right now, or at least try to push all the way through the back. I love this play.
Yeah, again, P3, as far as Tuscan is concerned, is probably the hardest hill to break because it has to come on 2 different fronts. You got to be able to win the fight on from the patio, and you also have to find success where turn-up is right now, just outside of these ruins. But hold this position a little bit too long. Mezzi is going to resurface themselves out from you, and Mississippi going to have to go back to the drawing board, try to break this one more time.
Here comes Gamer Dude. Entry kill. First one there. Buzz, Wumbo. Stun's going to be there. Isn't going to be able to prohibit him all that much. Finally over the top, Gamer Dude will find Wumbo. Buzz with a 2-piece. Gonna get shut down immediately. Around the corner. Chalk's got 1. Chalk looks for 2. All the way in the back. Mezzi's gonna come through with 1 from the automaton. They've broken all the way through the back of the spawns, but the problem right now is making sure you get inside of the hill, or at least contest the time. Still from the front, they're able to find the kills. Chalk goes big. 3 in a row. 2 more for the glide bomb potentially later on, but 11 and 2 start here for the side of Mississippi State. Chalk specifically has been the shining factor of why they've been able to have a lead.
Yeah, 4 in a row, 1 more kill away from earning that glide bomb. Might be able to come through as far as this rotation is concerned, and even going in towards the second set. And I like this call from Chalk, actually giving up the last handful of seconds to try to join their comrades as far as this rotation is concerned, but got cut down on the way. This is all while Mississippi actually hit through the P1 side, trying to get these favorite spawns in their favor, but nobody was really given a point of contest towards the middle of the map. Chalk inside the hard point, though, able to turn and burn onto 2. It's the captain of state that will take them down in return, but a pretty darn good-looking kill feed for Mississippi to soak up some early time.
If you're State here, after leading all major categories last year in terms of overall KD, you've got to be happy with the way that the team has started to play here thus far. Everybody's slaying together. The team pushes, the calculations that they've made together have been amazing. As we look inside of the church, all that stands between them and getting a couple more points. It's an attempt here now from SIU. Buzz will go ahead and find 2. Gamer Dude traded immediately back and forth. 5 in a row. Now make it number 6. A glide bomb. And a pilot to go along with it. You've got full streaks for Mississippi State. And almost about an 80-point lead.
Yeah, that 80-point lead is really starting to kind of feel yourself, especially if you can't get into the P5 communications room early for the Salukis. They're going to try to give themselves a good bet at it. Going to end up having 1 player inside of the stairwell. That's going to be Buzz to take down Gamer Dude. Fully stunned up, though. Going to have 1 more player down low. They are actually able to win that gunfight, and Wumbo wins 1 up top. So you're going to be here for the initial time if you are the Salukis, but it's about holding on and diminishing this lead that Mississippi holds over top of your head.
Oh, Gamer Dude, a beautiful play to lay down, re-challenge again with the rest of the team. Still got SIU who are pushing up the staircase. Turn up, going to be the one to drop down. Mezzi is going to be able to find the player down below. Won't necessarily get the kill just yet, but here come the teammates once again. 3 in a row. You look for number 4. There's Buzz, who's on a 6 spree of their own. Those Salukis, they've got themselves some streaks. Make it full at that. You look with about 20 seconds left here on point number 5. We'll be rotating back over towards the north side of the map. But proper, the one thing I do want to note here, to the Salukis, they've done a nice job of being able to bring this game back within a reasonable manage.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a lot of that time over towards P2 was allotted over towards the game clock. P3 was contested from the front by Mississippi, and P5 did go back and forth. So you're happy to take this if you are the Salukis, at least from a 30-point deficit perspective. But when you end up calling in that glide bomb, it's an opportunity for Mississippi to resurface themselves here on P1 and be able to lock down these rotations. So the Salukis are actually spawning in over by the church side, so they're going to be gifted over towards a pinch for the rotation. But again, the battle over towards P1 is very much so still coming up in favor for the Bulldogs.
Was his 8 streak ended. Mississippi State, though, however, have continuously ran up the clock. Inside of point number 1, look for the pinch now coming from the Salukis. The front of the hill, you look for middle map. Mezzi, Buzz, they'll pair for 2. Mysterion around the corner. We'll go ahead and find the headshot and finally the kill as well. With 20 seconds left here, you look to the mini map. Right side control for the side of SIU. Mississippi State's going to have to break in once again. They've done a very well job of being able to break kills thus far. It seems on about points number 1 through 3, from what we can tell so far, Mississippi State seems to have the upper hand advantage. SIU really starts to bring it back and reel in that lead a little bit by bit over towards the church and, of course, P5 in the HQ.
Yeah, but it's a lot of solo-pronged attacks coming out for the Salukis. Now, Messi's got to actually be able to find 2 on the rotation. They actually have some help over here for Mysterion, so that's going to be favorite spawns now. In for the column hardpoint here for the Salukis. Can they hold on as Mississippi are starting to flood from the church?
Buzz in the back. Head glitch won't be enough against 4 rushing players from Mississippi State. Next one up is going to be Wumbo around the corner. Still full health. Tries to take the challenge. That was an aggressive challenge to a player who has an absolute beamer of a head glitch. As you find those last couple of kills through the church, here comes SIU. State, 2 around the corner, 4 in a row, now making it 5 in number 6 with the pistol. Streaks once again for Mississippi State, 160 to 123. The score started to increase once again. They lose out on the scrap time because of an over-aggressive challenge there from Turnup.
Yeah, but this is an okay over-aggression coming through if you are a fan of the Bulldogs. Given how the rotation over towards 3 took a long time for them to be able to break it from the front, they want to make sure that they lock down these spawns, and that's actually going to force the Salukis to still spawn in over by the church side. So it's going to be Mississippi in for the early time here on P3. Streaks are also being invested here as well. Does it find any value? Not so much. The information trade is still coming around. Chalk up to 23 and 10, holding down this Ruins archway so far as the rest of the Salukis are trying to funnel on in from this side of the map.
Leading Slayer, pinstripe kill feed. Mississippi State winning the trades, at least for the moment. Kill time there is 185, 137. Continuously growing. One good hold here on this hard point. You'll be past that 200-point mark. That'll bode well for at least what would seem like mentally the barrier you need to get over to secure map number 1. Buzz tries to get out through the back. 2-piece after 2-piece. He's tried to be mainstaying Slayer for SIU, but it just has not mattered all that much throughout the game. Finally, for the side of Mississippi State, you break past the 200-point mark. You're going to be about at 205 by the time this one rotates on over towards the church. And guess who's already set up there? It's Mississippi State.
Will be Mississippi State, and now if you're the Salukis, you got to be able to break in here early because the leader's advantage still resides itself. Mississippi, they can play for even scrap time, but if they're here for the initial, they might just be able to close it out here. 215 v 138. Some kills are going to be traded out from the front door of church from the middle of the map. It's just going to come down towards State, who's in the back, at least has some information on 1. But they're doing such a phenomenal job of just playing for their life while the reinforcements are right around the corner.
It's unfortunate. Player slips the knot. State will run out. Try to double back in. Teammates are there for the help. The trades come through. Now it's just going to be over towards the right side. Mezzi, the first one to push up the map. State will fall. Second line of defense is going to be Gamer Dude. Has multiple angles to watch. Is going to wrap all the way back out to the spawn, but Mezzi reads it perfectly. In towards the point. Turn up. Reinforcements here from the side of Mississippi State. Buzz once again tries to go for 2. Can't do it. State's going to be the one who finds himself a double. And now you look back to the front door. You can't win it off of this hard point, but you'll be damn close. Over towards P5. It looks like it'll end over by the HQ.
Chalk getting a lot of information. With the fortified changes, won't be able to lock down as many kills as you would hope for with that new glide bomb in iterations. 4 more seconds are all you need if you're Mississippi. We'll be able to break in and able to bring the herd as well. Chalk will find the final 2 kills necessary, and Mississippi State, with an infatuating point to be made here on the opening hard point, will win 250 to 149.
101 points is the margin of victory that Mississippi will take here. My favorite part of the game thus far has been the aggressive slaying, not by State, but by the rest of the players on the side of Mississippi State. And the thing is, Proper, you know, we can talk as much as we want to about a captain coming back a player coming back with them that hasn't even played beforehand, but to show out like they did against a team that we thought was going to be, potentially up to the standards of what SIUE was last year, that's a statement win in map number 1.
Absolutely. I mean, if it's any consideration, especially coming from Mississippi, I know that this is not the same roster that we got to see out of MSU White, the team that was represented with State and Co. last year. But you even brought up a fantastic point during the opening while we were framing up this matchup that they were the overall slayer for their team. Now you bring in this player, Chalk 415, and it just makes your life so much easier. Able to get Mixie on the hard point, able to find themselves a lot of 1-for-2s, 2-for-1s, able to get multi-kill after multi-kill, getting themselves those streaks. That comes in a way for themselves and a lot of information. We'll take a look at some of these stats, and it'll be quite telling for us, especially for Mississippi. I mean, just look at Chalk. 15 objective kills. Along with 2 minutes of hardpoint time, that's the OBJ player of your dreams. Along with State also finding 10 objective kills themselves, still went double positive, 24 in 12. The way that this Mississippi State team was playing was 100% off of their SMG lineup, just allowing them to continuously push the line of scrimmage that further forward. And for that, Southern Illinois, the Salukis just never really got any single resemblance of a setup apart from maybe that P3 opening in the first set.
The Salukis, one thing you need to focus on, especially in this glaring from these statistics here, 22, 25, and 18. Those are all 3 values of non-traded kills from 3 players on the side of Mississippi State Esports. That just simply can't happen. You're not able to be around each other, play for each other's trades, play for each other's kills and picks. It's just going to net you losses every single time when it comes to hardpoint, and it does in map number 1 there. So, overall, we see it now. Tuscan hardpoint goes the way of Mississippi State by 101 points, 250 to 149. We take our attention to Search and Destroy now on Berlin, and this is where the Salukis can tie the series up 1-1 or fall short, go down 2-0, and then be at the force of match point. And unfortunately, is losing their first series of the year. This is out of Mississippi State.
Yeah, and this is, again, going back to our speculation of what we were looking at for these two teams, specifically for Southern Illinois down here in the Midwest Division B, is that they were going to at least be expected to have a pretty strong search and destroy. That was their boon of success when you were still looking at SIUE Red going back to the last year. But now that the teams have been shaken up quite a little bit of sorts, you're almost hoping that Buzz is going to be able to at least bring some of that that leadership, some of that understanding, especially for how the CCL players do end up playing search and destroy is not your average style of search and destroy, but even still able to win the search and destroy here and being able to take it overall would be quite big for themselves. But the slaying ability and the ability that we saw from Mississippi State, specifically on that Tuscan hardpoint, leading into a Berlin search and destroy, if they start finding these first bloods, if they start finding themselves some kills, they're going to continuously take map positioning away from the Salukis. And these are things that just need to be immediately rectified coming out from Salukis coming into the Berlin search.
Again, just like we can't put all that much faith in the statistics coming and translating over from SIUE to SIU, you can't do the same from Mississippi State last year to Mississippi State this year. However, one thing I do want to allude to, at least in terms of statistics, last year, Mississippi State, their favorite game mode, their best game mode was Search and Destroy. And so overall, with a 9-6 record last year, you'd assume that they would bring that back over in towards a new game, or at least have State bring that with the rest of the troops forward. And again, with how well that they were able to play throughout the entirety of that map number 1 on Tuscan, with some of the breaks that they made, some of the trades that they were able to find upon one another after a death, it was very telling about how this team will be able to progress, not only throughout this season, but just this series alone.
We'll have to see if all speculation will be thrown aside or if we're going to get further narratives across the board, because just because you got beaten by 100 in a single point on that Tuscan hardpoint does not necessarily frame up that you will be bad here on Search and Destroy. Respawns do not matter. Active calls and being proactive across the entirety of the map mean absolutely everything for themselves. And for Search and Destroy on Berlin, you make even the slightest bit of mistake for yourself, then you're going to find yourself down in a numbers advantage quite early on. And if you give yourself an inch, especially what we saw from Chalk, if they continue to lead up to the role of that SMG, you're just going to have to deal with them either on the flank or in your front line, just constantly just berating you with bullets.
Let me ask you this question, Andy. Mississippi State, with how aggressive they played on Tuscan, how do you think SIU can counter that aggression here in Search and Destroy, especially over toward a site like the A site?
Well, you mostly got to rely on your ARs and your cross line of sights. Now, when we come over to Berlin Search and Destroy, especially when we continuously talk about the ever so evolving meta that is Vanguard at this current point in time, the SDG just became un-GA'd, especially for challengers. We know a lot of teams have been playing with it. We saw at the SDG played quite well yesterday in a handful of matches by a few players. I think it's going to come down to your AR lineup to not allow the aggression to come all the way through, to be able to deny the SMGs from getting inside these nooks and crannies, to getting inside a mailroom for free, to getting down by the statue for free, and shutting down these rotations. You brought up a point on how you just denied just the overall aggressive push that could come in towards the A, S, and D site. You probably won't see too many teams adapting to funneling in too many members, not too many 2-2 splits until you know that one team is just going to start bulldozing their way in towards that site time and time again. But I would definitely look towards one of your automatons, or if an SCG does come out to be played in that upper courtyard, just to wait for the challenges to come to them. The Salukis don't have to be the first ones to make a play. If the Bulldogs are going to constantly be the aggressors in this game, they can just play reactionary. The Salukis can just wait for the over-aggression to come all the way through, and then they can just absolutely collapse on top of them, just berate them with bullets, and never give themselves the positioning.
Aggression, name of the game for Mississippi State in the hard point in map number 1. Will SIU go ahead and retaliate with aggression of their own, or will it be a bit more passive, a bit more calculated like Andy was alluding to beforehand? Either way, we'll find out here in map number 2. A 1-0 lead for the side of Mississippi State for SIU. It was a decent start there to the hard point, but unfortunately they fell just a bit short. Here inside of the Search and Destroy, opportunity to tie this series up 1-1. Sniper out all the way over towards the B site. Is where player number 5 and Chalk will be looking. The outstanding slaying performer for Mississippi State in map number 1 takes out a slower approach here in the Search and Destroy.
I guess that's one way to be able to slow down the entirety of the offense for Mississippi, is at least you get their forerunner to pull out a sniper rifle. But Chalk will find first blood. That's with the stun grenade. This is still going to be an A middle here for the Salukis, but the bomb's going to be dropped. Now, Wumbo's all by their lonesome inside the site. This needs to be called for Buzz to come in and help things out, but Gamer Dude is hot on the flank through the concourse.
Might be able to go ahead, set the pinch up here on the site, down the staircase. Buzz makes a great play. Egg glitch all the way back out, but it won't matter. The trade came through. The fuse will come in. Chalk have the sniper out initially. Goes ahead and clutches up the round with the automaton at the very end. A quick little trade back and forth there into the Mississippi State round win.
Yeah, and we love that very quick rotation that came through from Chalk. Again, if they're going to be that Car 98 player that's holding that sniper angle all the way across that B street, got to be able to quite literally exclaim to them that they need to rotate on over, because that was in fact going to be an A committal, and you got to really respect that coming through from the Bulldogs to be able to witness that play come through in kind. 2 in that round for Chalk 4-1-5. Let's see what their offense starts to look like, because for the Salukis, kind of crumbled there when they were kind of moseying their way inside the office. For Mississippi, this is actually going to start looking like a B committal. They're not just bull rushing over here, just potentially waiting for some smokes to come all the way out, but Syrians could potentially be in a very great spot to be able to play upside here.
Lots of stuns and nades over towards the B site. They weren't able to find the first blood because that was Buzz. The sniper was watching the cross over towards the B site. However, the technical trade does come through, though, as Gamer Dude is able to take down Mysterion. Now, it's on the defensive side. They're making their way up the map, making sure they can't go ahead, get that bomb down inside of the B building. Buzz with a pistol. So sneakily. Just trying to get behind Gamer Dude here, who's sitting inside of the corner. Chalk looking over the bomb site as well, making sure nobody can push up from the left side of Gamer Dude. Nobody willing to give away their position yet on the defense, but the bomb will go down on offense. It's going to be the audio cue that Buzz was waiting for. He'll go ahead, hear it, get the kill. Bomb down on B. They know exactly where it is.
Yeah, there was a stun that came through previously that just immediately called out and confirmed Gamer Dude's position. So now Buzz is just going to go ahead and bring themselves all the way back towards the docks. Chalk and State find themselves in a 2v3. We'll be able to recover the bomb. Will Chalk be able to get this down for free? State's going to be that player that has to be able to watch this, is able to take down the first. So the bomb will be planted, sending the round to 40 seconds.
But you don't know. The players all the way back in towards the backside of the spawn. 2 players versus 2 towards the end. Mezzy, Buzz, both go ahead. No trades needed. Go ahead. Find themselves a defensive round. The slow passive approach here, waiting for Mississippi State to push onto the B site, works out well. So we asked how they're going to counter the aggression. Well, the sniper certainly does help a bit. Of course, playing the time there was Buzz around the corner waiting for the defuse.
Got to respect that very methodical play coming out from the Salukis, especially on defense, just playing off the information. That's what we're going to come to expect here on Berlin Search and Destroy across all different tiers of gameplay, whether it's here at Collegiate all the way up to the CDL. Gonna really rely on that boomstick, that Kar 98K, just to lock down that lane and just collapse on the information that will be found. We go round for round here. Defense for defense. Smoke is out. As we can see, the Salukis are really trying to funnel their way inside this mailroom. Some shots are going to be found. All 4 players are on this side of the map, so if Mississippi State can find some timing to almost try to go for a long flank, the only player that's really watching this is going to be Mezzi inside of mail.
Oh, and does Wumbo get the angle? He went for the head, and it didn't work out. R.I.P. No first blood there. Nicey turn up. Oh, cheeky peek in the back, but unfortunately just was not able to walk away with anything except a dead body and a bullet right through the head. Buzz and the rest of the crew trying to maybe rotate this back over towards A, and it looks like it's exactly what they're going to do. Chuck has seen absolutely nothing over towards the site. Buzz will confirm kill number 5, tries to go for 6, but at least you have a glide bomb to work with now. You're on the side of SIU. Bomb still in your hands. 2 versus 3, 30 seconds left.
Yeah, but the Salukis have to commit towards a bomb site, and after all that ruckus has been made over by the B site and inside the lobby, they're going to take this as an opportunity to actually put themselves and plant that bomb over at A. Mezzi's going to throw some shots over inside of Fire. That was on a gamer dude. As Chalk starting to rotate across the statue side, and I love this positioning for Mezzi. Can cut down the rotation if they come towards the stair side.
They challenge down in towards the middle. Chalk going to be the first one there. Shots from Mezzi. Completed for a kill. Up the staircase. Gamer dude. Immediate there for a trade. 22 seconds. You got to get these last 2 kills and the defuse. It's a beautiful jump into the window. Doesn't spot Mysterion, though. Just crouching all the way behind the counter as he finally goes ahead and tries to go for the challenge. We'll find the kill. The second player going to challenge just yet, and the answer is no, but the defuse won't come in. You're just trying to go ahead and either stay alive on your own streak, maybe go ahead and find Wumbo, but you back all the way out to your spawns. Wumbo decides not to peek either. You don't want to feed streaks to Gamer Dude, who's on 3 in a row when one of your players already has a streak of their own. You want to trade that back and forth. It's a beautiful round there from Mississippi State, but unfortunately it falls just short. SIU, another round on the board.
And instead of having the belt set to Mini, they had the belt set to Wumbo there. Just going big, at least keeping their life within that stairwell. Things you definitely love to see. Nice methodical search and destroy out from the Salukis, at least guaranteeing ourselves our first round. 10 kills for the Salukis, by the way, and that's across 2 different players. It's Buzz, who is their Kar 98K player. 7-2 for themselves, 3-2 here for Mezzi, but it's still accrued themselves 2 different rounds. We'll have to see if Mississippi State on this very aggressive offense with the bomb carrier being turned up inside this office can make anything happen, but it's Buzz with an MP40 this time around, just pushes inside the side lobby, is able to find first blood on the bomb carrier.
And that is such a big kill as well, if you're SIU, because then you get the information that the players from Mississippi State are over towards this A site. You still have player number 3, Mysterion, all the way over towards the B site. Now, I don't know if this is just kind of like a fail-safe thing, to where if maybe Mississippi State decides to rotate on out, you're going to be able to go ahead and find that. I'd love to see the player maybe start to rotate over, knowing they have multiple players spotted out in different areas. Chalk going to pre-fire. Thought one was going to challenge. Somehow, Buzz comes around the corner. State will finally trade Buzz out. That was 3 kills in the round already. Knocked everybody off the board except for State from Mississippi. As Wumbo pairing up with Mysterion, look for State. They actually didn't see him there. Does State jump down and maybe get the best timing ever? Gets the bomb. Wumbo gives away the positioning. Mysterion should be able to be there for the trade.
15 seconds remaining. State has to make a play happen, and well, the timing is not going to work in their favor. He has to favor and extend the round, but the player from behind in the concourse is going to get the better of him, and I love that gut check play. Throughout the 4 rounds of play so far, we've seen Buzz pull out the Kar 98K, we've seen them pull out the Automaton, and then we got to see them pull out a very fast route with the MP40. This dude had a 1.72 KD throughout the Cold War year last year, Alex, and well, now you're really starting to see why. His +7 going through 4 rounds so far here on Berlin Search and Destroy is just keeping the Bulldogs just constantly guessing what the next play is even going to look like, converting offense and defensive like. Got to start mounting towards something if you are the Bulldogs, because here come the Salukis on a very rinse, wash, and repeat offense of what we saw from the previous round. But this time, they're actually not going to try to funnel inside the B side. They're getting mailroom control first and foremost.
Mezzi slowly picking up the staircase. Wants to get some sort of positioning in towards the top of the building. Just looking for anybody rotating. The spawn side, glide bomb going to be used. Information given out. First blood off the board, SIU. Another opportunity for a good round here, especially after you find a first blood. As I say that, sniper kill comes in from Chalk. State with the Automaton takes down Mezzi. So now you're left with Buzz and Mysterion. Very capable hands of Buzz, I might add, at 11-3 right now. Of course, we'll find one from behind with the MP40. Bomb down over towards B. If you're on the side of SIU, that just turned the entire round completely around. Because now, you've got a 2 versus 2. You've got the time in your favor. And you got 2 players now making the push up. Guess who's there? It's Buzz. Gets the shots onto the first. Can't complete the kill. But Mysterion will do the best effort he possibly can to try and play ring around the rosy with 1. Stall for time. 1 versus 2. Buzz. Turn up. First one there. Shots, fantastic. Last one on the bomb. He slides in and gets for the chow. You gotta think, maybe hop off the bomb there, because you know the player comes around the corner. Gutsy play to try and stick it. It comes through. 4-1 SIU.
How about a nice casual ace? All right, Buzz. Would you share the legwork here, buddy? 14-3 through 5 rounds worth of play. Has an opportunity to get themselves a glide bomb, just 1 kill away from themselves. I mean, just look from top to bottom. I mean, the only person that is rivaling them is Gamerdude on the Bulldogs for 5-4. My word. And Buzz is going to take this as an opportunity to say, all right, well, I'm just going to kick my feet up, go ahead and break out the Car 98K. He's found so much good timing. The smoke will now pop up here outside of the B site, but I love this call from Mysterion, not getting inside the site, just waiting for the sound cue to pounce, because the only person that's over here for the Bulldogs is the bomb carrier of Turnup.
You know, I guess we really haven't had to talk about this much since, you know, before Cold War, but you know, the age-old art of being able to go on a 4 spree, full name by the way, go on a 4 spree, one off of streaks, pull out a sniper, say, yeah, instead of getting aggressive, I'll play for the streak here, go ahead, sniper across the map, try to go ahead, back onto the final bit, but Wumbo on a flank, able to find the first, inside of the mailroom, State, get him down to 10 HP, ducks down almost, goes ahead, and turns his body into a blender. 1 versus 2, Buzz with a sniper. More heroics on the table? Potentially, don't stack up.
Oh! Just a bit outside. And they know that Buzz has the sniper rifle too, so now you gotta end up trying to mount this push with the rat that resurfaces himself. Get themselves a good look at a handful of players, and oh, now they're just playing whack-a-mole with Buzz. That nade will come through. Where's that 1v1? In the flank? No, surely not. Give it to him. Oh!
Into the left. 5 in a row. Slide back out. Pistol over the top.
Surely not.
You would hope so. Now he's going to
surely
not.
Forward.
Oh, no. Oh, no! He gets him too. Oh, that's disrespectful. Shoots the body because you got some time to do it. A diffuse. Oh, my God. Proper, can you break that down at all for me, just real quick?
I can't break down. The Bulldogs just broke down. Are you kidding me? That was a clear-cut numbers advantage. They knew Buzz had the sniper rifle. He repositions, hooks up the nade to a fine medium rare, is able to find the first kill, repositions, didn't do it with a sniper rifle, barely just dishing out free haircuts out here, and then swaps over to the rat pistol and is able to lock down the last kill. Put that in the file for things that absolutely cannot happen. Buzz, a man on a mission to the automaton now. 6 in a row, 16-3 overall. I got no words. I'm out of breath.
Manslaughter. Serial killer is he. Trying the best to end the search and destroy here. Buzz, well, you knew he had a streak to use. We'll pop it here inside of round number 7. One good round will tie this series back up at 1 apiece. Probably asked the question earlier, will the leadership of Buzz translate over to SIU inside of Search and Destroy? Well, I don't think there's leadership necessarily needed. I think all you need is a Buzz.
But it just comes down for the other 3 players now to be able to turn up, and, well, Mysterion's going to get caught out. That's turn up for 2. 1v2 in a post-man situation, and just a slow roll around the corner. Chalk 4-1-5. Definitely a much more quiet game here on the Berlin Search and Destroy. We'll take down Wumbo for the last kill. We'll stop the bleeding ever so slightly. It's not going to be a full sale. Now, it was a 5-1 lead, but definitely not a scoreline you want to be at. And I'll go back to that previous point. Yeah, the leadership, it might be nice, but this is, again, why we highlighted Buzz, especially coming in for Southern Illinois. You found yourself a very strong Search and Destroy player. I mean, you know, they're finding a lot of isolated engagements and finding a lot of good timings, but even bring yourself back to a few rounds, the clutch potential is also there for Buzz as well, 17-4. But with the Bulldogs winning that last round, I'm going to have to see if they can build any momentum off this. It's going to be a B committal for them. Going to be slow rolling their time. State going to actually flip off the MP40 and go back over towards an automaton, now try to get themselves up on the top side of Mail, while the rest of their team is just slow rolling their way outside of this boathouse and see if maybe they can get a free first pick before they can work their way inside of B.
I was going to say, before that first blood came through, you might have to ponder here. Trying maybe to get Buzz the 20 bomb here in the search and destroy. They want to prolong this just a bit longer. 9-7 here from State. Up the staircase, Mississippi State once again. A position where they have themselves the advantage 4-3. Bomb working its way up the map in towards the B bomb site. Look at Mysterio. Lurking. Might use smoke, some cover, maybe some drones to go ahead and create a mirage. Oh, okay. Oh, he doesn't see Mysterio.
No.
Does Mysterio find it? Oh, it comes around the corner. Is able to find the kill onto the player. The equalizing trade, 3-3. Audio cues. We bless you.
When Chalk knows that he's still around this corner too, you can see him just fiddling with the sound cue with the planting the bomb. Mysterion's going to go down on the opposite side, though. State has completed the entire side of this map. It's now on the dock side. It comes down to one boat to be able to at least find the trade. The bomb was planted to extend the round. But in a 1v3 for a retake here, I've seen some magical things happen, specifically from your teammate up Buzz just a few rounds ago, but Wumbo's just constantly throwing some shots, and while their position's going to be scouted out, that truck only offers you so much cover until you try to resurface yourself. So 2 rounds on the bounce for Mississippi State, the Bulldogs. I'm not going to lie, I honestly thought that they were going to lose that round. I don't know, first of all, how that stun doesn't connect on a Mysterion inside the B hut. But regardless, they collapsed on top of it. State did find that first blood onto Buzz that was in the middle of the map. And from there on out, it was just a lack of information that the Salukis were playing with versus the Bulldogs. And the Bulldogs are absolutely able to capitalize on top of that. Funding trades over by the BS&D site. By that point, it was just too late. So here come the Salukis, 1 round away from closing it out. It's going to be a B committal. Chalk! More free haircuts.
I was really hoping as an ex-sniper that he was going to just try to get a shot. Lamau. All right, well, off the board already. What was looking like a promising comeback for Mississippi State in the S&D. Unfortunately, unravels early on inside of this round, 4 versus 2. Buzz at 18-5. Might as well try to feed him the last 2 kills. 20 bomb would be satisfactory at best. Wumbo, that's disrespectful to your teammate. Chalk, oh, sneaky, sneaky. Buzz from behind, 19 in the S&D. SIU, they'll get it done with a 6-3 margin of victory. Now proper. Not only do we have a series on our hands, we're tied 1-1 going into a hard point.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, we poised ourselves as the question here. Did Southern Illinois have themselves the chops, the common sores, if you will, the lips of a dog, to be able to at least get themselves the W here of the Berlin Search and Destroy? I was sitting here assuming, and under assumptions, I was like, yeah, the leadership from Buzz absolutely need to be able to be a limelight for this team to be able to find success. But, I mean, Buzz just went AWOL. Yeah, I mean, to your point, they didn't end up dropping 20 kills, Alex, but even still, with having themselves rounds like that, I mean, I'm not even playing the game right now for the Bulldogs, but my mental got absolutely eviscerated after that round right there as the Salukis are able to take this search and destroy immediately off the bounce back after losing that hard point quite convincingly from Mississippi State.
Leadership, or was it just the backpack that Buzz decided to put on for a game?
Why not both?
Go ahead and give the confidence. Hey, got a good point. We'll take a look back at the statistics here. 19-5 from Buzz. Hey, proper. 3, 3, and 3. All negative by at least double. 9 kills in total for the rest of the team besides Buzz. And let's just go ahead and say, not only is that an extra 10 kills on Buzz on top of what the rest of the team would equate to, 2K damage.
Dude, he was averaging 2 kills per round. I mean, you just look at that one stat line alone. Like, you got a third of a kill per round for the rest of their teammates. But I mean, I was already wired off the caffeine that I've had throughout the entirety of the day. But I mean, Buzz, after that 1 round defensively, when they picked up the MP40 and they just hit the route through the middle of the map, wasn't even looked at by the Bulldogs and found themselves some pretty unique timing inside of the concourse to be able to find themselves the entirety of the ace with a submachine gun on Berlin Search and Destroy. I know that we're in for a little bit of a treat here, but you gotta end up converting that search and destroy win into a hard point, because we play 3 of them here as far as CCL is concerned for the time being, and if it's any indication for that Tuscan of how things unfolded, some more work has to be done for the Salukis here in this best of 5.
Both teams an opportunity to collect thoughts before we get into map 3, but while we have this opportunity, we're going to send things to a short break. When we come back, Mississippi State, SIU, at least guaranteed a map number 4. McCormiel, that's proper. We'll be back in just a moment. Interesting series that we have on our hands. It is tied up 1-1, but both the hardpoint and the S&D were on opposite sides of the spectrum there, Andy. And now that leads us with a map number 3. And this is where things get a bit interesting, because if you're the side of Mississippi State, you're decently happy with how map number 1 went. But if you're the side of SIU, sure, you win the search and destroy. Now you have to go to Bocage, where it is going to be hectic, it's going to be chaotic. I don't know how many times we're going to beat that dead horse throughout the entirety of the year, but at the same time, it's exactly what it is, and it's the only way to describe it.
Yeah, it was the chalk zone for map number 1. It was to infinity and beyond for map number 2. As we head over towards Bocage for hardpoint and map number 3, it's going to be an interesting tale of the tape, considering what we ended up getting out of the SMG lineup, specifically out of Mississippi State. The SMGs were just undeniable, specifically from Chalk. I mean, if he can continue on that absolute rampage of what we got to see from them on Tuscan, they made that map feel just so small. And on a map like Bocage, that absolutely benefits just very swift, quick adjustments without hesitation. That's what we got from Chalk. That's what we're going to end up almost expecting from them as well, from Captain State, to be able to lead them to any sort of form of success, to be able to win out hardpoints as convincing as you might be able to, because Bocage, let's be quite candid here, you're not going to be able to get a lot of these hardpoints in your favor unless you find, I don't know, about like 8 kills in a row. And even then, I don't even know.
I was gonna say, like, maybe maybe get 15 off of that if you're lucky. But the one thing I will say is the thing that I liked about Mississippi State in map number 1 was their ability to play together. I really thought that was going to be a big factor instead of the search and destroy. Didn't really end up being that way, because SIU, well, let's just say there wasn't really any team pushes. It was more of just a buzz push. So you can beat Buzz in a team game of hardpoint. Can you do so in the S&D? Well, just hope you don't go to a map 5.
But are the Salukis going to be able to just rally off of that amazing Berlin search and destroy that not only we got to see from Buzz, but was just so fundamentally sound for them? Again, very hard to be able to play fundamental hardpoint when it comes down to Bocage. You're going to end up seeing a lot of flips coming through on P1. Very, very scrappy, as it typically will end up being. And the Salukis are going to be able to walk away with just about 11 seconds, but Turn Up is still finessing their life inside the shed. It comes down to the positioning where you currently see all the red arrows on the minimap for Mississippi State. They have that barn control, and that should guarantee themselves some initial time here on 2.
And I love that you mentioned the red arrows on the minimap, because not only when they collapsed on that did they all stay alive, but you saw every single player that was inside of the barn, except for the player that was inside of the hill, start to push everywhere. They just started to push out different lanes, different angles, different parts of the map to make sure when the side of SIU was coming off of spawn, they could do everything within their power in order to shut them down and not allow them to get close to the hill. That is perfect Call of Duty.
Has been broken up here. So far, the Salukis just trying to cycle players out inside the barn, but it's just a lot of isolated pushes now, isn't it? I mean, Mississippi, they're going to go for about 5 for 1 within the feed so far, and you already have State just cutting over by the middle of the map and end up at least taking down one player, just trying to put themselves back inside that AS&D site. Will be cut down here for the time being, but nice little resurgence coming through to be able to get 41 points plus on the hard point so far.
Typically associate P2 to be a money hill, but Mississippi State tried their best efforts to make it a money hill, and for the most part, they did. At the front, though, Mississippi State break on the loom. Mezzy will just be playing inside of the hard point, reads it perfectly around the right side. Turn Up started to make the forward, but unfortunately, it just didn't work. He's killing everybody right now. It doesn't really matter, because as long as you can just sprint around the map, catch people off at different angles. Oh, please don't do it. Okay, thank you. Catch people off at different angles, then be able to hit back towards the point with the rest of your team. As long as you don't flip off those spawns, you're making a great play.
Absolutely. And, well, it's still the Salukis that are still playing with these very, very close spawns on the backside of the hedges, but you still have players trying to pinch it around from the opposite side inside of Granny's. Not really finding any sort of value with it, but they have been able to amount somewhat of a 30-second in a row for themselves. Turn Up is able to go 2 for 1 inside the hard point itself, and now you just can see the last few seconds of this hard point to be able to set yourself up for 4.
And on out till the middle of the map. At the bottom of the barn, Mississippi State resoundingly make themselves at home. Nate out the side, looking for a few players that might start to push up the map. Let's turn up, tries to get behind one. Mezzi off spawn is going to be able to find that kill. Wumbo in tandem. We'll go ahead and pop 2 in a row. Pinstripe kill feed, 5 in a row for a player on the side of Mississippi State. Unfortunately, they'll go ahead and find their demise. Streaks to use for both teams right now. Utility in the back pocket as this game wages on, but unfortunately, you're not going to want to use them here or be really able to use them on a hill like this unless you're just trying to gain outside control. Chalk around the corner. Well, that's 4 in a row. Why not?
And I like the call just to be able to reserve those streaks. It's not necessarily something you want to be playing for as far as spawns are concerned here, Alex, but when it comes down to P5, this is where a power position is going to be held. Take a look at where Turnup's at on the mini-map itself. It's all the way in the backside of that willow tree. This is a power position for themselves. Unfortunate to say, they actually had MT40. Although you can lock down a lot of decent ranged engagements for themselves, it's going to be difficult to be able to take a player out from that position. They're going to give it up for now, bring themselves down towards the hard point. A lot of isolated engagements coming across this map, but Mississippi will be in for the hard point for the time being. But are they going to understand that there's one more player on the opposite side of this river road?
It's interesting here, too, because if you're the side of SIU, you don't want to directly push out in towards the point, but also you want to be able to position for trades. They push it slow enough up the map. They get that first blood. They get everything they needed to in order to find themselves some time, but unfortunately, they don't control the hill because of where Mississippi State was able to come back, force themselves the lower hand down towards the swamp. There's only one player in Wumbo left up and towards the top. Sure, maybe you have 1 or 2 players try to play through middle map, and then you have the rest try to maybe push around through the flank, but with 20 seconds left, if you're SIU, yeah, you might want to play for spawns here, or rather the scrap time here. But if you're Mississippi State, you're completely okay with SIU just throwing bodies around the map, so you can sit up in middle map and maybe just try to play for a few seconds here and there by getting on and off the point.
Player number 5 of Chalk is actually completely slipped the net by a handful of players there for the Salukis and is able to get themselves all the way in the back. I know that it's 3 kills so far for the Salukis inside of the hardpoint itself, but Chalk from this positioning can cause a lot of ruckus and disturbance for the setup of what the Salukis were looking for. 3 quick kills come through for Mississippi. As we go in towards the second set, this 30-point lead is really starting to grow as Chalk finds 2 in this life.
Every time it grows, though, it seemingly shrinks back closer and closer to an even standstill. Around the corner, SIU is there, but guess who? Once again, Chalk. 18-9 inside the game, double positive, 4 in a row. Gamer dude, right along there for the ride. Swing around that left side corner. Wumbo on the jump up. You're able to go ahead and play behind the gate oh so perfectly. Teammate there for a trade. Another team kill there from Chalk, but nobody on the point. They're trying to set themselves up for P2. Thus far, they've done a great job. You got to be able to make sure, though, that player number 2 in Mezzi doesn't slip the net around through the spawn.
Yeah, and you go back towards the first set of Hill is that Mississippi State was actually able to turn P2 into quite an abundance of time, especially where you wouldn't necessarily assume for players to be able, or teams to be able to turn P2 into a money hill. When you have Chalk on 7 in a row, certainly start to raise the argument. Has number 8 in front of him, is able to take down Wumbo. More challenges coming inside of the barn. It's going to be Mezzi. We'll see that nade just kind of cross right in front of him. Doesn't get stunned up. And for your Chalk, this is in a great spot to be because they have no idea you're here. Sees Mysterian gone back over towards that tank side, and the rest of the Bulldogs are just cleaning things up.
Well, you don't extend the streak any further, but this gives you the opportunity, at least here on P2, to start calling in maybe 1 or 2 of those streaks. Confident enough, you can maybe try to go on another 5 spree once again. Gamer dude, though, might just do that for you with 4 in a row. Looks to the spawn side. Wumble will drop down. That's going to be number 5. You look for the second player around the corner. Mysterio had absolutely no business losing that gunfight with a weak gamer dude, but he makes him pay for the over-aggressive Chow from behind. Now make it 7 in a row. Anything Chalk can do, gamer dude, well, seemingly can do it better. 145 to 108. SIU, they got the scrap time. They're trying to get this game a bit closer. Look at where the side of Mississippi State is set up. All the red arrows inside of P3. SIU, they got a ton of great time on this last hill. Mississippi State, though, you got the rotation early this time.
Southern Illinois, though, they got to somehow work their way in from the front of Grandma's, which, again, is easier said than done to the point that we were just talking about. Close response here for Mississippi. Chalk is finessing again, has 1 more player up top, says, yeah, go ahead and try to cook up that nade. I'll just chase you up the staircase on another 3 in a row. Has number 4 in front of them. Is going to slam them straight through the ground. 26 in 10 for the kid. As another clean kill feed comes through for Mississippi, this has been a sufficient amount of time coming through here on 3 for the Bulldogs.
Well, quietly in the meantime, while we had Chalk on 4, gamer dude still on an 8 spree.
Casual.
This Chalk goes now for number 6. We were talking good about gamer, dude. Okay, have a nice streak. Well, then Chalk goes ahead for number 6, make it 7. Tries to turn for 8. Buzz will shut him down. But his gamer dude was up, I think it was like 5 or 6 kills on Chalk. Now Chalk owns the kill advantage on his own teammate once again. 177-116. seemingly, at least right now, not surviving in the chaos is SIU. More importantly here proper, it doesn't seem like all the adjustments that we really wanted them to make have been made necessarily just yet. Mississippi State slaying numbers just continuously outweigh what SIU tries to do when taking steps forward.
And here's another conversation point as well. I mean, how many times are we going to watch Bocage hardpoint? When two teams are very close and competitive, this goes up to the game clock. When teams are not necessarily competitive, yeah, you can still end up at least scrapping through for a decent amount of time, but this is a 70-point lead on a Bocage hardpoint. Southern Illinois are just absolutely struggling, not only to necessarily find the slays, but to be able to maintain map position. There's Wumbo, able to find two more to answer back what Turnup and Chalk were able to find for themselves, but then off the bounce back, Mississippi State are very quick to then take back the map positioning. Gamer Dude is able to find the first, knows that there's might just be one around the corner. Well, maybe not. Buzz will take them down. But again, these trades that are constantly coming through for Mississippi State are always allotting them to have so much map control.
They just play so fast. Routes like that from Chalk, getting into the spawn side, getting behind these players. Messi, you want to take that gunfight? I didn't think so. Can't back off in time. Chalk, while stunned, comes through. Will gun down the player who's trying to play in the top of the building. Now you look all the way to the back. Wumbo once again. You know what happened to your teammate the last time? You really want to take that gunfight again?
And for the initial time, this has to start to be some pretty stellar hardpoint. If you're looking into this from the Saluki standpoint, Gamer Dude, we're tapping into those resources, has the glide bomb, will end up causing a lot of ruckus. Chalk also calls theirs in as well. No kills to really speak of, but is there map control to end up converting any sort of break potential to come all the way through? So far, not so much. Chalk over by this willow tree will throw some shots from their MP40, but can't confirm the kill. Buzz will unfortunately find a team kill, but again, this has been a stellar P5 coming through for the Salukis to at least diminish the lead just to about 30.
It's going to be very difficult for SIU to reclaim not only the lead inside of this game, but to go on to win it. Would need a miracle. Gamer Dude looks to the middle of the map. A few seconds of time here and there for this out of SIU just brings us closer and closer and closer. But as three go down, you look for the last player. It's Wumbo, who will fall. I like the usage of the Volk here. Nice weapon.
Pretty. Mississippi, though, going back towards the center of the map. And they have just been solidifying themselves to be able to get very, very mixy when it really comes down to it. Just within striking distance, 20 more points, and they're going to take a series lead here in the swing map mode of Bocage Hardpoint.
Turn up from behind. Okay. Well, 28 HP. We'll survive. Live to see another day. And, of course, not see the timeline.
Oh.
That would have been disgusting. Chalk. Buzz can try everything you can, try your might to get out, but I mean, just look at the slaying numbers. You go down the board for the side of SIU, nothing there in terms of light of day of getting even close to even, let alone positive. 250 to 184. Another great win for Mississippi State when it comes to the hard points. And Andy, now we go to another hard point where it just does not seem like SIU, at least right now in this point in the season, has the ability to keep up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go out on a limb and say that this hardpoint definitely was closer comparatively to the Tuscan hardpoint that was map number one between these two teams, Alex. Sure, but that's almost what you would come to expect when it comes down to Bocage. Again, a very mixy hardpoint, tons of full of interactions, but you got to at least have one player that is at least popping off for your team. Mississippi State had about 3 of those, being able to at least break inside the hard point, find very unique flanks, find very unique timings. They will always end up finding 2 pieces to be able to offset any sort of setup that Southern Illinois were constantly trying to set themselves up for. We'll take a look at some of these stats, and it'll be quite the telling story. Again, Chalk 39 of 15, 35 and 18 for Gamer Dude. Almost felt like that they were trying to go battle for one of each other, but where Chalk has been able to find themselves a consistency, look at that hill time. 1:48 worth of hill time, but most importantly, look at the conversion of objective kills. 19 OBJ kills. They were not dying inside the hill.
That's always impressive when just about half of your kills are coming from the objective time.
Yeah.
A lot of players that are, getting a lot of kills per game and whatnot, call it a Slayer, call them whatever. The biggest problem is sometimes is those players that want to look flashy on the scoreboard because they can have the ability to slay out, don't necessarily play the hill time as much as they need to. Chalk is a perfect example of a player that's not only going to get you the time that you need to win a game, but also get you the kills that are going to be required to break into that point. And let's talk at the same time about Gamer, dude. Of course, 8 streaks were the highest for both of those two players. They went streaking through the map together. earlier on inside like the halfway point, and that just gave Mississippi State such a large advantage. But as we take a look throughout our series so far, a 2-1 lead for Mississippi State, that much is evident. But of course, 250 to 149 map 1, a 6-3 search and destroy win for SIU was a nice comeback and a bit of a boost to morale. But of course, as we saw in Bacage there, 250, 184 to Mississippi State, who now is at series point and on the verge of being able to take a win here inside of the season.
Again, the thing about it is that we were speculating that Mississippi State were going to be the better respawn team. We had assumed that Southern Illinois, especially with having Buzz, with having themselves a fantastic search and destroy last year for their previous team, was able to bring themselves quite a lot of success from SIUE Red, and all that leadership and all that slaying ability dropping like 19 kills within the Berlin search and destroy. They were going to probably be the better search team, but you have to take a hard point off of this team. Now we find ourselves going in towards this Berlin hard point where it is do or die. You can win that map number 2 all day long, but so long as we're constantly playing 3 hard points here in our best of 5s for College COD, if you're not able to convert at least one of them while you're facing a team that outpaces you, something's got to give. You got to draw yourself back, almost bait out to unforced errors, if you will. Just wait for the rest of Mississippi State to almost try to funnel on in, cover your crosses. Just make sure that they just don't get in your face and work those flanks, because on Berlin specifically, comparatively to the other maps that we had, it is very hard to be able to break yourself back in towards a hard point, specifically when you're talking about the close spawns that can ensue on 4 and 3 specifically. If you can get yourself into the backside of that crane for 3, very difficult to be able to work your way in back through the upper courtyard. It's going to be almost a very linear hit to come back in, and if you don't wipe the floor with the enemy team very quickly that's already residing inside the hill, then you're just going to end up giving up a solid like 45, almost 50 points at a certain point in time. That cannot happen for Southern Illinois coming in towards Berlin hardpoint. They have to be able to convert this one if they hope to see that Tuscan surge.
Again, I know I mentioned beforehand where previous statistics don't really allude to what we're going to see throughout the series, and that much has already been evident enough. But I will say, SIUE last year, they liked a little bit of a larger map to where they had more of an ability to play either a bit more passive or just sit back, maybe collect your thoughts for a bit, and find yourselves with maybe a couple of AR kills. Now, for SIU, that might be what you need exactly here for Berlin, simply due to the fact that this map is going to allow you to play a little bit more spread out, a little further back, find some of those longer range engagements, and then be able to set up for hills pretty much as you please. Now, obviously, the hard-hitting SMGs are still going to be prevalent as ever on Berlin. Think of maps like, or think of points like point number 1 or even point number 3 when you're inside of the fire building. So take that as you will, but at the same time, of course, Mississippi State now at match point, SIU. Well, you got to win a hard point if you want to be able to tie this series up and force a game 5. With what we've seen so far, it doesn't seem likely. However, that doesn't mean it's not possible. It would be a great start here on Berlin to go ahead and break into P1.
P1 can absolutely turn into a serious amount of time if you win these opening breakoffs, of which nobody was surprised if you're just now joining us here in this Mississippi State versus SIU that they're going to win that opening breakoff yet again. There will be some players for Salukis just lurking around some of these windows, but just a little bit of a discombobulated hit that Turnup is just going to absolutely eat alive. Find themselves a nice little 2-piece, just 10 seconds remaining, and here come the Bulldogs on the rotation.
See State looking all the way towards the back, getting in a decent position to help out the rest of the team. Turnup will play a wide angle from the middle of the map, but right now they've given the side of SIU the inside of the point. Salukis will try to hound around on the inside, but you got to look for the red arrows. They're all starting to push in at the same time. Trades are going to be there. A calculated hit from Mississippi State leaves everybody from the SIU roster dead, and that is a beautiful, beautiful hit right there. Nobody gets too aggressive. Everybody sits on the outside. They wait until they have the signal, and then they sprint in towards the point, win the gunfights. Oh, so nice.
Turnup still hasn't died, by the way. Casual force spree on their first life. Going to be looking for potentially more. 1 kill away from getting themselves those streaks, and Whole State is eating every single stun grenade this side of the Mississippi. And well, there's Turnup able to find kill number 5 in a row. State is also able to do the same. So early glide bombs have been achieved here for the Bulldogs, and by way of doing all of that and finding rotationary kills, they have turned P2 into what a lot hoped to be able to do and turn it into a money hill. But take a look at the rotation. All the red arrows already on the side of the crane. The rest of the Salukis just not fully aware that this was all going to be happening. They have to go big inside the hill to be able to convert this into some time.
Buzz out the window. Find the shots on the gamer dude. Turnup, though, will bounce back with a 2-piece. You got the first 15 seconds of time, but instantaneously, guess who's right back in towards the point? It's Mississippi State. One thing they've done through every single hardpoint that I will continue to hark on until this series is over is the fact that once they want to break a hill, once they want to coordinate that push, they're going to be able to get it done. SIU has no answer for it. They haven't had an answer through, I think, like, what, almost 20 different actual hardpoints that we've played so far?
I think that's a little bit of an overestimate, but yeah, somewhere around there.
I'm just talking about the sheer amount of hills that have gone through.
Absolutely. I mean, there has been a certain point in time where the conversation has always been around what these SMGs and what these Flux players are going to be able to offer, and just casual, just going to keep bringing it up. Turn Up is still not dead. 7-0, just on a casual 7 streak through their first life. You want to talk about a player that's just absolutely valuing their life, has an MP40, going to throw some shots, did not see Mezzy over top of it, so you're welcome for that caster curse, SIU, as we'll finally be able to deal with Turn Up, but the hit from the front is still residing for itself. State is actually on the backside of the warehouse. Now, the Salukis are still going to have close spawns over by the train side, but this might turn into more of a spawn trap before you actually know it.
Just say that. 2 in a row to Turn Up, now make it number 3.
Man,
You're working towards the glide bomb. All the way in the back. The automaton looking for the rotation through. Now you can kind of shift your attention back to the front of the hard point. Or Wumbo will be the first one to fall. Turn Up can just play inside of the corner here. All you got to do is just make sure you can watch every which angle from the front. Turn Up with 1. Turn Up with 2. You look for number 3. Wumbo around the corner. Oh, please don't do it to him. He got the hipfire shot as well. I thought Wumbo was about to let him reload, re-challenge, and still put him in the grave.
Not able to break this hard point, though. The Salukis just head scratching. I'm sure they are down horrendously. 100+ points for the lead here for the Bulldogs as we go towards the center of the map. A hard point that typically should be relatively scrappy. Trades have to be coming through, but State will make an extreme argument for that as they're now on 4 in a row. Turn Up coming right back into the mix, I believe, is going to be calling in some streaks as well. It's actually State that calls in the glide bomb. Will end up giving their team a lot of information, but this time, going up towards the game clock, well, you're quite okay with that if you're Mississippi State, given that you have a 120-point lead.
I think any team would be comfortable with a lead such.
Yeah.
Chalk goes ahead. Finds himself. You know, this is crazy. This is a relatively quiet game for Chalk. 20-4 for State, by the way.
It's easy to have a very quiet game when you end up having your AR is just going absolutely crazy. 16-3 for Turn Up, 20-4 for State. 5x positive, yeah. Might as well just kick your feet up here if you're Chalk and play that OBJ style of 1:41 inside the hill. The Salukis just have absolutely no answers. We're going towards another set of hard points. And well, of course, it's going to be Mississippi State in here first. They're just finding so many kills, just the reads coming through. State's going to have one more up top on this ledge. The help is here as well. 30 seconds remaining inside this hard point, and Mississippi State are barking at the door to be over 200 points quite early.
Yeah, I did it. Yep.
They just can't do no wrong. I mean, they are the goodest of boys here, are the Bulldogs right now. They are just fighting so many different rotationary kills. They're fighting for scrap time, and that's just an absolute nuisance. On the bounce of just so many hard points in sequence of one another, they've only given up 31 points. They're fighting rotationary kills. Here comes yet another glide bomb from State. I don't even think Turn Up has started to dip their toes into the resources that they got early on from that early 7 spree, as State will go 25-6 now. Salukis able to find themselves some value, a 4-for-1 inside the feed. Is that going to be enough to be able to get themselves some hardpoint time? Nobody read that Gaber dude was up top, just casually styling out in the top side of Mail, but they will finally deal with them. To say that you have a leader's advantage for Mississippi State and some flawless hardpoint has to come through from Salukis would be me putting it nicely as they get broken once more.
2-2-2. Oh, double body shots for good measure. Why not? I don't think he's going to be needing that ammo anytime soon. 235, about 45. This is not only looking like a 100-point club, this is looking like a 50-point club. You're on the side of SIU, Mississippi State, looking to make a statement here that should be the final kill. Maybe you go ahead and contest. And just be that guy. Not let the game end. But with nobody being able to get back to that hill, you should get the final tick in. You do. 250-45 is the final score in map number 4. Andy, the series was fun, but to say it was close, can't.
Hey, Search and Destroy was cool, though. I mean, Buzz
Sure.
was able to drop 19 kills, but I mean, dude, look at it. Turn up with 22 and 7. He went on 7 in a row. That 7 streak, that high streak, that was his first life, by the way. I'm sitting here watching the entire time, just watching Zero on the minimap, just going a full circle and coming back around and just never died in their first life. 7 in a row, 4 turn up. State was right there as well. And I think what's even scarier about this team for Mississippi State is that it wasn't just always just one player. You know, again, it was chalk in map number 1. We got to saw a great length of effort from all 4 players there on the Bocage hardpoint. And there on Berlin, it was State and turn up. We'll go back and we'll take a look at some of these stats. Don't have all the players, though. I think if you are one of the Saluki players that ended up leaving, probably don't want those stats to be on the screen because they absolutely got handed their rear ends, tail tucked between their legs, and going to be running in towards the next week with hopefully some adaptations to come all the way through because, I mean, they got absolutely ran through, especially in the hard points. Again, the search and destroy on Berlin was very, very close. Thanks to Buzz, who dropped a total of 19 kills. Was able to do it all with all 3 weapons that they ended up picking up. But apart from the search and destroy, which, yeah, Mississippi State, if I'm going to be nitpicky, definitely want to at least be able to convert a search and destroy. But when it comes down to hardpoint, at the pace and the precedent that they've been able to play at, especially in this matchup, whew, this division's in for a long one if they're going to be able to consistently do that.
Well, I hope the Salukis like pedigree. That's what Mississippi State just fed to them inside of that series. Take a look back throughout our maps. 250 to 149 was map number 1. 6-3, the S&D. At least SIU was able to go ahead, scrape by inside of that one. But really, we just look to the hard points to go ahead and be the telltale sign of this series. 250, 184 on Bocage. And then, as we just saw there, a 50-point club of a 250 to 45-point win. That's going to bode well, at least for the end of season statistics when it comes down to hardpoint differentials. So that's a bonus.
A little bit of an outlier, I'm sure, as the rest of their matches here inside this division are not going to be as easy. Remember, this is a Midwest Division B matchup, and although the hard points might feel rather like a mismatch, actually not feel, it was a mismatch when it came down to the hard points, especially on that Berlin. I mean, 50-point clubbing an individual team after they got close, that 250-184 on that Bocage, definitely a lot closer than even the Tuscan, which was 250 to 149. Definitely showing some promises for themselves, but the stamina just running a little bit dry for themselves. But this Midwest Division B is definitely not one that you can bat an eyelash at. Yeah, Mississippi State, you were able to get yourself that win here, but you have to wonder here. LA Tech, LSU, you also have Ole Miss, who have always been able to field at least a pretty steady roster. This was a good matchup to be able to see what this Mississippi State roster can at least offer for us, but I mean, it's got to be consistency for me going forward. They looked great here today, but from weeks to come, I want to see them versus some other top dogs within this division, within this region as a whole, McCory Mill, before I finally write them home as being one of the better teams in the CCL this year.
Well, their hardpoint stays the same. Well, I could absolutely see them being a mainstay roster that we might even be talking about when it comes playoff time, but at the same time, we've got to see that improvement inside of Search and Destroy, very bare minimum. I think overall terms of success, you can call this an absolute win for Mississippi State, starting your season off on a very, very good note. For the side of SIU, got a little bit of time in order to go ahead, make some adjustments, come back into it. But I was talking with Seymour earlier on. You know, this season is not one to trifle with. You don't want to sit there and slack early. You slack early, you could be done for before you even know it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams, of course, coming in, these are collegiate athletes, so we definitely would prefer them to always focus on their studies first before trying to, make COD full time. But at the end of it all, if they are exemplifying some great practice in whether or not that's, utilizing our Discord to such a high degree, playing in CCL 8s, learning the overall and ebb and flow of a lot of these maps, learning how a lot of other players do play, or even being able to find yourself some on-level scrims from one another, you definitely don't want to be slacking off too early, and that can go both for their studies and as well here in the CCL, because there's going to be a lot of good teams that you're going to be facing off against as the continued season does prolong itself. This was a great matchup, again, for Mississippi State, but until I see them face other top teams, until I see them play from very far behind, especially on a hardpoint, I'll say that they're a good hardpoint team, but I'm not really ready to sell them out to be one of the best hardpoint teams that we have in the league so far. It was a great matchup for them to be able to showcase their strengths. Very happy that State was able to put together this roster. Again, that was my immediate question coming through from MSU White. Is this roster the one that State really wanted to be able to field for themselves coming into this season after getting DFR'd in the overall season to start things, or in the playoffs last year during Cold War? definitely went back to the drawing board, found themselves some really good players to be able to back themselves up on, because again, it was never just one player that was constantly popping off for this team. They were really all sharing the legwork to be able to make sure that that they were knowing that all 4 of them were definitely coming to play.
Excited to watch them grow over the rest of the season, but in terms of overall matches, that's going to be it for today. We had our first match was a banger, second match was a banger, that one right there, although it was relatively not close. It was still a relative banger. We got to see a brand new team overall with a returning player. We got to see what Mississippi State's roster fielded into the new year, and of course, that is going to do it for today. But, Andy, I think there's a Game 5 going on Bravo right now. So if anybody here is, wanting to watch more Call of Duty, which why wouldn't you want to be? This is what you're doing on a Tuesday night. Come on. There's a Game 5 going on right now over on our Bravo channel. It is going up against U Windsor Gold and GVSU Esports. Andy, well, if I'm a betting man, I would hope that this one goes to around 11, but I can't really say anything other than that. Either way, go ahead, twitch.tv/CollegeCOD Bravo. You can go ahead and find Game 5 there, and of course the rest of the night for the CSTL. But we are done here on Alpha. Thank you guys for coming out and watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic night, and we'll be back for week 2 starting on Monday next week.